Hi players, let's go through the 7 toxic ways of thinking. You either are in appreciation or you're analyzing, and analyzing is being in the 7 toxic ways of thinking. If you don't understand this, you will start to understand this once you have really grasped through the 7 toxic ways of thinking, and you start to see that very often we overanalyze things, and actually we're really cutting ourselves off from being in the receptive mode, which is what happens when we are appreciating. So when we're appreciating, we go into heart and brain coherence, and we actually become more supernatural, meaning we become more intuitive, and we stay in the receptive mode, which means that we are going to get answers and blocks of thought of our inner being and source, and of the quantum field, which has all the answers. So basically, we, instead of, let's say, looking for days for a solution or calling 100 people for your business, you're just going to get a block of thought about the one person you need to call to get your business up and running, or to get like a deal. And this is really what's been happening with our players, and also this is scientifically proven. So it's very important that we stay in appreciation and we do not go into the 7 toxic ways of thinking. So let's go through the 7 toxic ways of thinking. Number 1 is devaluation, devaluing yourself or others or anything. So when you appreciate something, you're increasing the value of something. Even though it might be difficult, you are seeing the best or the positive aspects of something. So you do not go into devaluation. When we devalue something, we start to bitch, we start to blame, we start to complain. We actually look at the worst of a situation. So understand that when you're doing that, you're going to create very painful outcomes, because you're actually in force in the David Hawkins scale. So the second one is victimization and blame, and this is a very difficult one, because very often we believe that things are happening to us, and this is such a we're either blaming an employer, or we're blaming somebody we love, or we're blaming a neighbor, or we're blaming politicians. The fact is we are infinite co-creators, and we came here to this earth plane to remember who we are, and to remember that we are so powerful that we can even create being a victim. And so when you're in victim mode or you're in blame mode, know that you're going to create more of it. You're becoming a vibrational match. You're becoming a victim, or finding people that you can blame. So there's actually a video about the victim and the saboteur that we will post as well, so that you can watch it, so that you really understand that this is not a game you want to play. Really, when we started understanding the victim archetype and the saboteur archetype, all of us snapped out of it. So please look into that if you feel it resonates with you. There's 5 more 7 toxic ways of thinking. So another one is called time warping. And time warping is so common, and basically time warping is, of course, when you have experienced something, and then you created a neural network that makes you associate everything in the current present moment with something that happened in the past. So you keep on thinking, for instance, that your past will equal the future. And of course, it's not that way, but you might create recurring experiences with the same type of patterns, because you're time warping. And so it's very important that we do not time warp, and that we are in the present moment, that we check ourselves. Another toxic way of thinking is generalization. So imagine that when you're generalizing, you are going to say things like all men are, all women are, all rich people are, all clients are, this industry is, or all politicians are, or I am always. So when you do that, you are not being fair, and you are generalizing, and you're closing your mind to infinite possibilities. So you become blinded by your own generalization. So please look out for that. Another toxic way of thinking is comparing and competing. And that one is so rampant in the corporate world, or in even a lot of people that actually are running businesses. They always feel threatened, or even people in the job market, or maybe even, when you're a creative person, you're always going to look at people more successful, or people who are in your industry, and you're going to feel a bit threatened by their success. You know what? Not necessary, because we never ever have to compare and compete, because we're always creating our own vortex. And in our vortex is everything that wants us. So the only thing that we need to do is we need to line up with our vortex, and then the things that are meant for us, they will be there, we will recognize them, and they will recognize us. So this is very important that we do not fall into that trap. So when you see yourself comparing yourself with other people that are better, or you're jealous or you're envious, know that you're in comparing and competing and snap out of it, because it's better to actually look at other people's success and say, oh my God, I'm so happy for them because one day I'll be there as well. There is no competition. You create your own market, you create your own economy. So for instance, let's say you're single and you're on a dating app. Don't think, oh my God, I'm going to be like, competing with all these beautiful other women or men. No, think that, you are blessing all these beautiful women and men. They're all different, and you're going to find the right person. You're going to have an amazing experience with all these beautiful people. The same with the clients, Never feel that you're competing with anybody, because the thing that you are creating is so unique, and when you're proud of it and you set up this morphogenetic field of pride and love and appreciation of your clients and their success and what you have to offer, you're going to magnetize them to you. And that is how you want to play. You want to win, want to win the game of life, and how you want to run a business. Otherwise, it's pretty painful, right? So another toxic way of thinking is urgency. So when we're in urgency, what we're doing is we are running on all these programs that tell us that we need to be in fight, flight, and freeze. And when you're doing that, it's pretty painful, because you're actually not cultivating what we call vision. Let me see, did I forget one? So I had devaluing, comparing and competing, victimization, blame, generalization, time warping, and urgency. And I don't know anymore. Gosh, let me see. Yeah, this is me. I always forget one. I forgot which one it was. So annoying. So anyways, so every time you feel bad, and it is like a structural thought, something that keeps coming up over and over again, do yourself a favor and write down the thought, find out what toxic way of thinking this is, know that it is impacting your life, and then really write down the opposite. Write down a thought of appreciation about yourself or the situation or that specific, theme that you're thinking about. Let's say you are devaluing yourself all the time. You're like saying to yourself, oh, I'm such a loser, or I'm so not good in my industry or my craft, whatever it is, or know that you're devaluing yourself. Know that, oh sorry, the seventh way of thinking is catastrophic thinking. Oh my God, I'm so good at catastrophic thinking. Catastrophic thinking is imagining the worst possible case scenario and getting your body in such a state that you almost have panic attacks. So I literally had panic attacks, have panic attacks sometimes, so I know what it is. So know that you probably need help when you are having those panic attacks. It's very, very serious. But so this is how I can teach this stuff, because I actually live it sometimes. I had to heal myself from all these debilitating states and trances. But catastrophic thinking is really, it's not being realistic. It's like you can make your body believe all the pain and all the worst fears that you can imagine. And so we don't want to do that. So find help when you are in catastrophic thinking, or really find a way to go into appreciation. So don't let the momentum run when you're thinking catastrophic thoughts. And so we have an interview about faster EFT. We have an interview about releasing as a process, but definitely also using appreciation can be a process to help you get out of these states of fear when you're doing catastrophic thinking. So so when you're appreciating, you're really gonna think different quality of thoughts. And what you will notice is when you appreciate versus the 7 toxic ways of thinking, you'll feel better and better and better. And as we know, it takes only 68 seconds to create momentum to actually break through these 7 toxic ways of thinking. So do that, and do that consistently, so that you really, really start to see that all these things that you make up in your mind with the 7 toxic ways of thinking, which are habitual, ways of thinking, they're actually really not even true. Because once you start writing down the sentences and the thoughts, and you start appreciating the exact same thing, you will actually see that, why would I, give such a horrible meaning to this specific situation? Because whatever meaning you give to it, that's the outcome you're going to get. So attribute a positive meaning to things. When you attribute positive meaning to things, that will affect the outcome. So do that for yourself. Love yourself enough to do that, as Dr. Joe would say. And yeah, thank you again. Enjoy really learning to catch yourself in the 7 toxic ways of thinking.